Number 25, application for certificate of appropriateness. Sorry, did you do that? Certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, docket number 15-2821, block 616, lot 7501, 2 Horatio Street in the Greenwich Village Historic District, an Art Deco style apartment building designed by Robert J. Lyons and built in 1929 to 1931. This is an application to construct rooftop trellises.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Hillary Paget, Preservation Department staff. This property is located on the south side of Horatio Street at the corner of Horatio and Greenwich Avenue. The current photograph of the building here shows context on the block and current conditions of the rooftop penthouse terrace levels, some of which are visible from the street. The proposed work will be here at the uppermost terrace, located just west of the central tower. The applicant is proposing to install 2 metal trellises, one located at the south end of the building and one at the north. And it's again at the topmost rooftop penthouse terrace, and which will be visible from multiple vantage points. The south and east walls of the trellis located at the rear of the building, so there's a wall here and here, are incorporating wood infill panels that will be visible from Greenwich Avenue, and these can be outlined in the visibility study that the applicant will show you. The design team is here to present the proposal.
Okay. Thank you. This is number 25. Okay. Identify yourself by name and add whatever you wish to add to what's just been said.
I'm Perry Wolf. I'm with Raphael McCartness, and we are, and this is Justin Kuka, and we are the designers of this project. So, as you heard, we're located at Horatio Street and Greenwich Avenue, and we're looking to build 2 pergolas with trellis walls on the uppermost penthouse level. As Hillary discussed, we have a pergola on the north side, which is largely an open frame structure made of powder-coated aluminum. Then further back, on the southern part of the terrace, we have an open pergola that rests adjacent to an existing chimney, which then wraps to create a dividing wall along the edge and back that's infilled with wood slats. This functions to create 2 separate spaces, and so you see sort of in the elevation a little bit more about what these language of these pergolas. It's the existing drawing, and below you'll see that the pergolas themselves are an open structure. The only covering will be here potentially. There'll be a retractable canvas awning. Looking at the other side, you'll see, or first you'll see a section through the north pergola here. It's a very simple structure, very minimal in this dimension. And then on the southeast wall, you'll see that this is the one of the infill panels, and it's made up of the same grid work as before, except now there is E-base slat filling the open grid. From the south, you have the same sort of structure with the open here and the solid fill here. From the street, you only see these from a couple of points, and I'll show you through exactly where you see it and where you don't. So here's our key map. We took a number of views from the surrounding area, both where you can see it and where you can't. So the first is from 15th Street and 8th Avenue. Here you're not able to see the pergola due to the view angle and then also existing buildings in the area. Going closer to 14th Street is the first time you get a glimpse of the structure here. This is the more open pergola, and the general shape of it matches more or less this bulk here on the existing building to make it so it references existing part of the building. It's also open, so it's very minimal visual impact, we feel. get another block closer on Greenwich Avenue in the corner, you just barely can see it. Here it's very difficult because it's sort of lined out with the railing here. But again, you're just seeing the very slim edge of it from this side. Once you get to the park, you can't see it at all because of the angle being too steep. Going around to the other side of the building on the southeast at Jane Street and Greenwich Avenue, you have, you won't be able to see it because of the existing building blocking that view. But going a little bit further south to West 12th Street, here you're going to see the south trellises. And these are those infilled walls here. We feel that these are a pretty minimal addition to the view. They're not really going to stand out. You already have this language of setbacks and boxiness here. And it really just is a small sliver that adds up to that. So with the wood being almost a similar color as the brickwork, I don't think it will stand out very significantly here. Going across West 12th to the other side, to 8th Avenue, you'll just see very small part of it here in the background. And again, it sort of carries out this language of the stepping that's on the adjacent buildings and back here. Again, it's also a very small part of what you're seeing. Unless you're looking directly at it, you don't feel really see it. Moving back around to the front, Horatio Street and 8th Avenue, you'll see just a very, very thin line of it at this edge. It's very difficult to tell, but it is just a few inches, or not inches, but there's a line just right there. Very minimal on this side as well. So overall, we feel that the visibility is not very significant to the important views in the area, despite the fact that it is, there are a number of elements being built up on the rear.
Okay. Any questions on this? Any testimony on this? Back to you in a moment.
Barbara Zay of the Historic Districts Council. Unlike conventional trellises, which feature open lattice frameworks, the proposed wood and canvas trellis looks like a more dense and opaque roof enclosure to our committee. The information provided concerning the trellis's visibility was not entirely clear, leading to questions about how much of a change this rooftop trellis would represent. HDC also wonders if the use of lighting will draw much attention to the trellis. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Community Board 2 recommends approval of the application, unanimous. Anything you want to add or in response to anything that's been said in the testimony or anything further? If so, up in the front again, please.
I just wanted to address the concern about lighting. The only lighting that's going to be attached will be attached to the interior of the pergolas, and it will be largely focused on, there will be a,
Yeah. The fixtures, yeah, exactly.
there'll be a seating area within this area, and so there'll be lighting directed only at this area, and then other lighting will be only at the plant level throughout, which will be lower than the trellis structure. So there will be no significant lighting.
Okay. Okay. Discussion, thank you.
Too bad. I would say light those trellises. I know that we're supposed to not call attention to ourselves on the top of roofs and so forth. I think that's a shame often, and this is a good example. When we look at buildings of this era, the Romantic era of New York, the end of the Romantic era maybe in New York, we look up at these buildings and we want to see penthouses, we want to see extravagant living, we want to see trees and so forth. And we don't get to enough, I think. So this is a case when we can look up and see a little bit more on this 29 or 30 building. To me, it's perfectly appropriate. It's very minimal, I might add as well. In this case, balancing as it does with another form, kind of an equal form on the other side of the tower. In any event, I think it's a great addition, and I think it's appropriate.
I agree. I think that the shapes and forms and materials are simple and clear and clean, and create a varied and interesting roofscape on a building that can certainly take it. I have no problem with any aspect of it as being appropriate.
They are trellises and not rooms. I think they're fine.
Yeah, I don't think they're a problem at all. I think they're, well-designed and they're, very minimal in terms of their impact. And I also think, I was saying that we got more views of this than we sometimes get of rooftop,
Yeah.
additions. So I think they made a good effort to give us the sense of how the trellises would appear, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Roberta?
I guess overall I am fine with it. I just would have wanted to see or understand better what the horizontal material is. How dark does that look? Is that, because that's part of the shading is permanent, it seems, or? I have questions about that, but I think that the shape that
it'll be like a, like a middle brown slabs.
the slabs.
So it's, like walnut
Okay.
color.
Okay. I don't go as far as Fred goes, but I do think it's good to see.
The applicant does have a sample.
Yeah, let's see it. Okay, all right.
So that, what is that?
Is
That's
that
wood.
wood?
And the trellis itself is wood, right?
The trellis itself is that.
Is what?
It won't stay that color.
No, it'll gray out, right?
Oil it every year.
It'll kind of gray out, right?
Tell the color of that from Seventh Avenue, you'll be, Eighth Avenue, you'll be. Win a medal. Okay, appropriate trellis, carefully done and sensitive, actually, to all of it. So with that, the hearing was closed with motion and second. Fred, you have to do this one? Number 25.
Got it handy. In the matter of 2 Horatio Street, Greenwich Village Historic District, the application is to construct rooftop trellises. Recommend approval, finding that the installation of the new rooftop trellises will not result in any damage or to or detract from any significant architectural features of the building or the streetscape. That the new trellises, which will be partially visible at a distance from several vantage points on the setback terraces of the roof, will not overwhelm the primary facades or obscure any significant architectural features of the building. That the building, which features original designed roof terrace setbacks, is of a style and type that supports the presence of visible terrace features, my point. That the use of black painted metal framing and wood louvers will maintain a sense of openness and will relate to a variety of rooftop features typically seen on buildings that are much larger than many nearby buildings, and that the work will not detract from the special historic and architectural character of the building or the historic district.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? That's approved. Thank you. And